Hi there, I'm Nick-Nack and it's time to have a look at the upcoming RPG crowdfunding campaigns for April. As usual, I'll only have a look at those campaigns that end in April, so there might be some campaigns which are longer and which will end in May, and they will be in the next edition of this video. And of course, given that I need to make a cutoff, there might be some campaigns which have been started after I have recorded this video, and they might not be in here too. The month of March had a lot of really great RPG campaigns, and for April there's also still a lot of great campaigns, but it's not as many campaigns as last month, so this video will be a little bit shorter. The first thing I'd like to show you is the Polaris RPG, which is set in a post-apocalyptic sci-fi underwater setting where the humans now have to live under the oceans because the surface of Earth is inhabitable. And the RPG itself is now in the 3rd edition, so this is a campaign for the 3rd edition. And if you like this art, or if you like the setting, then definitely have a look. I don't know yet about the rules, but yeah, be sure to have a look at the rules too before backing. Next on my list is the Unbound RPG, which can be used to play in any kind of setting. So the players and the DM create the setting together. And one thing that is also different from many other RPGs, you don't use dice, but instead you have cards with numbers on them. And you use them to draw cards and use the numbers as if it were numbers from dice. Worlds of the Cypher system is a module or a supplement for Cypher system, which is the rule set behind, for example, Numenera. And it contains 3 different new settings that can be used with the Cypher system. The first one is Gods of the Fall and is a high epic fantasy setting. Then there's Predation, which is about people who traveled from the future to a period that is similar to the dinosaur ages and stone ages to prevent a big catastrophe from happening, but they still have their laser weapons and stuff. Then there's Unmasked, where you play a superhero with the mask, which gives you some abilities. And there's also some other stuff which is not settings, but for example this asset deck. And just have a look. There's a lot of different add-ons you can use, what you can get for worlds of the Cypher system. Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu Mythos for Pathfinder, as the name suggests, is a supplement that gives you enough information to play in a Pathfinder campaign about the Cthulhu mythos. And it doesn't only include a lot of different rules, it also includes a lot of different miniatures. So even if you're not interested in the rules, if you're looking for miniatures about Cthulhu, this might be your campaign. The Storypath Cards can be used with any RPG. It's a supplement that contains of a deck of cards, and these cards have different things you can do to manipulate the story. So the GM plays a path card, which gives the theme that he wants to achieve in the next scenes. And for example, this might be Vast Unknown. And then based on this, players can add their own cards that manipulate the scene and might add something that happens. The things that happen depend on these paths. So in theory, you should never be in a situation where players play cards that totally derail your session, but we all know that might still happen, even though there is something like a path. For Baker Street RPG, an RPG that has been backed on Kickstarter, I think 1 or 2 years ago, there is now the Baker Street Casebook number 2, called Jack the Ripper and Missions from Mycroft. And this is a module, so if you haven't played any adventures in this setting, or you need some more ideas, these are just ideas for criminal cases. And even if you don't like the system, you might want to have a look just to look at these criminal cases, because if they are good, what I hope, I haven't read any of them, but it's the main idea behind the system, so if they don't get that right, then I don't know, then you might be able to use them in other systems too. Crisis of the World Eater is a very interesting idea for an RPG module. In this case, it's for Pathfinder RPG, and the idea is that each of the adventures actually plays in a different setting. So it's about cross-world stuff, and they are still connected, and if I understood it correctly, you can use the same bunch of heroes for all adventures, and they just travel between dimensions or something like that. And I really like the idea, and of course, I really like that it's EU-friendly. Another very interesting idea for a module is Sherwood, The Legend of Robin Hood, which, as the name suggests, is about Robin Hood. It's for Pathfinder, D&D 5th edition, and Swords and Wizardry. And there are two different modes to play it in. You can either play it historically, then there's no magic, and given that these RPG systems still are a little bit not non-realistic, it's not super realistic, but there's no magic there. And then there's the mystical mode, and in that mode there's also magic. Quests of Doom has now their third incarnation, with adventures worth winning for 5th edition and Swords and Wizardry. So this is basically a collection of modules or adventures for D&D 5 based on D&D 3rd edition, and they have been redone for the new rule set. The Trail of the Apprentice is for Pathfinder and the 5th edition, and the idea here is that it's for novice players. And if I understood it correctly, you should also be able to play with children, so the theme shouldn't be too dark. Then there's another D&D 5th edition 10-level adventure pack, and yeah, it's basically generic adventures. I didn't find anything really interesting there, but still it's 10 adventures, so if you need some more, you can find them here. Now, let's look at something a little different. It's the Infinitas DM, which is an app that can be used for role-playing, and as this image from the video shows you, basically you can use your maps and show them on your tablet and edit them, add stuff, hide stuff. So for example here you see on the tablet there's some visible things and they are shown on the TV, but then there's also things that the players haven't seen yet and this is hidden. And in general I think it's a very nice idea. I'm not sure yet whether it's really worth it, because most of what I see here could also be done just by using some graphic tools and graphic programs, but still, if they think about it really correctly and add a lot of cool features, this might be very interesting. Especially if you also have the Fantasy Maps art pack and RPG Maps, which is a set of assets you can use to create your own maps. So you see some example pictures here. They look very nice, I think, and yeah, it's a little bit of work to put them together. And if you've tried building your own maps, you know that there's a lot of work to get all the details right, but they look really nice, and if you want to get your maps together, you might want to back this to get these symbols and icons and, yeah, pictures. If you don't want to build your maps yourself, then the TerraTiles might be for you in 3 different themes: Tundras, Wastelands, and Caverns. And these are hex tiles that you can put together to build your terrain. Next are 2 very similar campaigns for dice cases. First one is the Dungeons Keep, and yeah, let's just have a look. You can keep multiple dice in these wooden boxes. And the second one is called Dice Bakes 2, and this also is a wooden box. And if you look at what's inside, yeah, it's dice and also a little space to roll them. Now, looking at the dice, I won't say that much anymore. I'll just show you some pictures. Just for the Bullseye D8, D4 damage dice, these might look familiar because we had the Bullseye D6s 1 or 2 months ago. And then there is the Modi dice, which have pre-calculated modifiers. So for example, if you roll a 4 and you have a modifier of +2, then you get a 6. Then some dice which are cheap and colorful. More dice that are cheap and colorful, even though they're not that cheap. And dice that are neither colorful nor cheap, but are made of metal, and we all know that that makes them have better results, or at least do more damage when thrown at the GM. Last category for this video are the miniatures. We have the Black Rain Alpha Strain, which is a lot of, yeah, post-apocalyptic or sci-fi warriors. Then Armored Knights, can see them here. That's just armored knights. Balls, which are monsters that are balls. So if you want to have your beholders and stuff, these might be interesting to add. Tertius miniatures, which are based on the like late medieval times. There's also musketeers and here arquebusiers and stuff like that. And the Stone Skulls furniture, which I find very interesting because it doesn't only have like old medieval beds, but also these 90-60 chairs. So not really sure what the idea behind this is, but if you need some furniture, have a look because there's a lot of different things in this. Then there is the post-apocalyptic wastelanders and survivors, and I think the name says it all, or this picture shows you what kinds of miniatures you will find there. The Star Trooper miniatures, which are, Star Troopers. A lot of different ones. And the Gaddis Gaming miniatures, which have American infantry and Commonwealth infantry and Russian infantry. So it's all about World War miniatures. That's it with the month of April. As usual, I've a list which contains all the RPG projects that I didn't include. You can find a link in the video description. If you have any comments, especially things that I didn't tell in this video, feel free to just write a comment below, because as usual, there's a lot of things to talk about and only a very short amount of time. If you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel to keep up to date. And if you do, see you next month.